my channel. So for today's video, I thought it would be really fun to do my top 10 ultimate guide to fall books. This is going to be a book recommendation. I thought it would be really fun to show you guys some of the books I'm going to be reading this fall season or that I have read. So with this video, I thought it would be fun to kind of do like a Pinterest aesthetic. That way, as I explain the book, you can kind of get a visual for it. So I'm going to quit rambling. We're going to jump right into the first book, which is actually A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. And it's about a high school girl. She's trying to solve a murder that happened in her town a few years prior. And she's doing it as a school project. If you've ever seen Pretty Little Liars, it kind of gave me that vibe because of course the girl that died was like a super popular girl and nobody really knows what happened to her. So I loved this book and it's part of a series. I want to read the next book as soon as possible, so I'll definitely probably be reading it this fall, but I thought that this was such a good way to start off the video and show you guys one of my favorite fall books that you can read that will kind of get you into that like spooky feeling. The second book we're going to talk about is another book that I have read. It is The Inheritance Games, and it's about a 16-year-old girl. Her name is Avery, and she inherits an entire billionaire's fortune. But here's the twist: she actually had no idea who he was. It's just the perfect book to kind of keep you at the edge of your seat. I read this in one night and it was so good. The third book that I'm going to be recommending is The Ex-Hex, and I actually just finished reading this like 2 days ago and I thought it was so good. This was more of like a little comedy romance, but it just gave me all the spooky vibes. It's about this 19-year-old girl and she breaks up with her boyfriend because he was kind of like a douchebag and she wants to put an X on him. But a few years later, that turned into a curse. She has to work with him to break this curse, and it is just one of the best books that I've read in a while. It actually got me out of my slump and it put me right into the spooky season kind of vibe, and it was just so good. So if you like comedy, you like witches, you like Halloween, this is definitely up your alley and I think you'll really enjoy this book. The next book we're going to be talking about is The Pumpkin Cafe, and oh my gosh, first of all, let's just talk about this cover. I think this cover is one of the cutest covers I've ever seen in my entire life. I bought this book last night, which if you don't have it, I think Kindle Unlimited is actually still doing their sale. It's 99 cents. I bought it last night and I have been reading it this morning as well, and I am just obsessed. Fun fact about me, my favorite show is Gilmore Girls, and I watch it every single fall for like the past 8 or 9 years. I love that show so much. This book is literally that show and I just love it. So if you like a cutesy romance, grumpy sunshine kind of book, of course that gives you the fall vibes with the cafe, you are going to love this book. They even have town meetings, which if you know anything about Gilmore Girls, you know that that is a huge thing in the show as well. And it's about a girl named Jenny, and she's gifted her aunt's cafe. Then she meets a grumpy guy named Logan who wants nothing to do with her or the cafe, but somehow he keeps coming around. So like I said, I started it last night and I've been reading it this morning, so I'm not done with it, but so far I just love it. It is the perfect cozy book and I really do recommend. The next book that I'm going to recommend is another book that I have read. It is also a show and it is Normal People. Now, I know some people do not like Normal People. Going into it, I was kind of like hesitant because I had heard such mixed reviews. I read it myself and I watched the show. I actually liked the show better. It was such a good show. It was also such a good book. Now, I will say, check some trigger warnings because it just might not be for everybody. It is kind of a more intense book, if I should say, but I really did like it. For some reason it gives me fall vibes because Marianne just wears the cutest, coziest sweaters in the show, so therefore in my mind I would just have like a whole outfit for her. If you don't know anything about Normal People, it's a relationship between Connell and Marianne, and it's just so real. That's pretty much like the most that I can say about it. It is the most real relationship ever, and I see why people get frustrated and kind of give up on the book or stop reading it or stop watching the show, because there's a lot of back and forth and they both have their own situations, but I love it because of how real it was. This is probably my favorite show ever. I watched it a while ago and I think I'm going to rewatch it again for the fall season, but it is just such a heartbreaking yet beautiful book and I do really recommend it. Moving on to the next book recommendation, it is A Court of Thorns and Roses. Oh my gosh, this book is so popular. I saw it all over Book Talk. I read it a few months ago. I really liked it. I think I gave it like a 4.7 out of 5 stars. It was so good. It is a fantasy book, so if you've never read fantasy, this might not be the one that you want to start off with, just because it is really, I don't know, different. But I really liked it. It's a huge series. If you don't know, they have so many other books. I've only read the first book. I've heard that the second one and the third one are a lot better, so I'm definitely going to be reading those really soon. But if you don't know anything about A Court of Thorns and Roses, it is pretty much about this girl, and her name is Faye. She kills a wolf that she wasn't supposed to kill, and then this guy named Hamilton, he whisked her away, and she pretty much becomes a prisoner in the world of Faye. So this is, like I said, a fantasy book. If you don't like fantasy, maybe stay clear of this book and this series, but if you want to give it a go, this is definitely the one that you should read. It is really good. It kept me at the edge of my seat. The next book that I'm going to be recommending is a book that I've had on my TBR for so long and I'm yet to read. So I'm making it my mission to read it now during the month of October. It is called None Shall Sleep, and this book is pretty much about a girl named Emma. She is recruited by the FBI. She then starts interviewing convicted juvenile killers. So this is definitely a mystery book. I don't know much about it, and I do want to go in kind of blindly because I want to form my own opinion on it, but I am so excited to be reading this book. I think the cover is so cool as well, and I think it gives off Criminal Minds vibes. I love Criminal Minds. It is one of my favorite shows, so I'm really excited to be reading this one as well. The next book we're going to be talking about is One of Us is Lying. So I haven't read this book. It has been on my TBR for a really long time as well, and I'm excited to read it. Just like normal people, this kind of has mixed reviews, but I've been trying to steer clear so that I haven't gotten any spoilers or anything like that. So what I do know about this book is that it's about 5 students who go to detention, but only 4 of them make it out alive. They of course have to prove that they didn't murder the one student that didn't come out. So I thought that this was such a fun concept and a cool concept. I'm really excited to read it because it's a YA thriller. I don't think it's gonna be like that scary or anything like that. I have also heard that it is a TV show, so maybe after I read it I will definitely look into the TV show as well. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is called the Mindfuck series, and this is I think 5 books in like one. I want to read this so bad, but I cannot find it anywhere. So if you have it, let me know where you bought it, because I tried buying it on Kindle Unlimited and they don't offer. I've tried looking at the bookstore, they don't offer it, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But this book looks so good. Everyone that I have heard talk about this book raves about it. And this book is pretty much about a girl, and she is of course a serial killer. So she develops a relationship with an FBI agent. Like, what a wild concept is that? Like, the serial killer, the FBI agent, I don't know. I guess she has a motive and a reason for why she does what she does, but I am so excited. Just like a few of the other books, I don't really know much about it except for the general concept, and I like to keep it that way. I like to form my own opinions, and I like to go in kind of blindly into a book. I think that I really get the most out of it, so I am so excited to read this book once I find out how I can purchase it. The next book we're going to talk about is another book that I've seen all over Book Talk. It's called The Silent Patient. It's about a husband and a wife, and they seem to have a pretty good life. And then all of a sudden, she shoots her husband in the face 5 times. Like, what? She then goes on to, of course, like, be convicted and all these things, but she never says a word. She never says a word for like years, like 7 years. I think that the concept is wild as well. I think it's definitely going to keep me on the edge of my seat. And the last book that I'm going to be talking about is Rock, Paper, Scissors. I'm hesitant to read this book. I don't know why. I don't really read a lot of like thriller or mysteries. I'm not gonna lie, I get kind of scared. That's why I read a lot of YA thrillers and mysteries. But Rock, Paper, Scissors is one that I am definitely going to go outside of my comfort zone to read. I don't think it's going to be that scary. This book is about a couple as well, and their names are Adam and Amelia. They end up winning a weekend away, but they didn't actually win it because one of them is lying. One of them has secrets, and you don't know which one. So that's all I know about this book as well, but I am so excited. I like to keep it that way. I like to kind of have an idea about a book, but not necessarily know too much about it. I think that that is just the best way to read the books. So those are all the books that I am putting as the ultimate fall guide. I think that this will really get us into the spooky season, spooky vibes, and I'm really excited to read it. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!